I'm Eric Parker. Coming up this morning on CT21 Social Security. There's a new plan in the works to make changes to help those who get it now and for those who will be getting it in the future. Connecticut Congressman John Larson is behind the proposal. He's joining us this morning from Washington. And State Representative Craig Fishbein talks about Republican efforts here in Connecticut to combat juvenile crime. He'll tell us some of his ideas. Plus, our own chief investigative reporter Matthew Campbell is joining us to tell us about his conversation with the wife of an injured Farmington police officer who wants laws to change. And in our Sunday spotlight, his brother died in Afghanistan, not far from where he himself was serving in the Army. Scott DeLuzio is sharing his story in a new book and this morning with us. It's all ahead this Sunday morning, October 24th. CT21 starts right now.
From Channel 3, this is Connecticut's most watched current affairs program, CT21, with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us. We begin the program this morning with a conversation about Social Security. Most of us pay into it, but will we get what we expect out of it when it's time to retire? This week, Connecticut's 1st District Congressman John Larson is expected to introduce a new bill. It's called Social Security 2100, a Sacred Trust. So what's it designed to do? He's joining us this morning from Washington to tell us more about it. Congressman Larson, thank you for being with us. You say the word Social Security in politics, people's ears perk up. Tell us about this bill you'll be proposing this week.
Well, great to be with you, Eric. And on Tuesday, we're going to have a rollout of Social Security 2100, a Sacred Trust, which combines the president's proposals that he outlined during the campaign and initiatives that have been worked on for more than a decade, which means there'll be an across-the-board increase in Social Security. It also means that no one can retire into poverty after working all their lives and paying into the system. I think it would surprise most Americans to know that there's more than 5 million fellow Americans who have worked all their lives and get a below poverty level check from the government. That simply cannot stand. And because Congress has been negligent, and by that I mean it hasn't improved Social Security in more than 50 years, and it's been 38 years since Congress has taken any concrete action towards Social Security. We also are going to make sure that we include a CPI that generally reflects what costs are. We benefited by the recent CPI because of the pandemic and inflation, but a lot of that is gobbled up by Medicare costs, as you know. This will create what the AARP has long been striving for, something called CPI-E, E standing for elderly and the actual cost that they experience, like gas costs, like food, prescription drugs, heating and cooling your homes, et cetera. And then also for people who have to work primarily out of necessity, that we not tax their Social Security into retirement. We also repeal what is commonly referred to as WEP and GPO, which has wrongfully penalized teachers and municipal leaders and their spouses over a period of time. All in all, this combines what President Biden has rightly called a sacred trust, the trust between the people and their government. Social Security has never missed a payment.
All right, a lot to unpack there, Congressman. Let's start with that cost of living increase, because I know that's one of the big changes. Now, we saw announced that the cost of living increase for next year is going to be the highest increase since 1982, 5.9%.
That's correct.
But you're saying the numbers that they're looking at may not be in the best interest of the recipients of Social Security because of what it's considering. It's not the price index for me that matters, right? It's the price index for people who are eligible. Is that the point?
That is the point. The point is, and the reason behind CPI-E is that it reflects what your actual expenses are, not what the cost price index is in general, but what it is that you actually have to pay once you reach that magic retirement age and you're receiving those benefits. And it has been woefully negligent and inaccurate. And in fact, in 2020, it was 1.1%, hardly keeping pace with what we need. And while it's welcome that it's so high, it's high because of the pandemic and the ensuing inflation that has taken place, not because of the actual out-of-pocket cost that people incur. That's why we've worked with the AARP and the National Alliance of Retired Americans to make sure that we have something that will actually reflect their costs.
So, of course, more money is good for people who are receiving Social Security or will be soon. But we saw the report this past year that the Social Security Trust Fund will be out of money by the year 2033. Now, that doesn't stop benefits, but it certainly could curtail them. So what's the plan to pay for all this?
Right.
If we're giving more money to people, isn't that an issue?
Yes, it is an issue, and it's more than ample reason to act in and of itself. And Social Security, you're right, will not be out of money, but what it would result in, without infusing the fund with the capital that it needs, there would be a 20% reduction in benefits across the board. A 20% reduction at a time, in fact, when we need to enhance benefits, not reduce them, because we just simply haven't kept pace with the needs and concerns of the American people. So this bill will enhance the opportunity, and we do so in a very simple way. We lift the cap on people making over $400,000. Now, it may surprise many of the listeners to know that a person making over $400,000 stops paying into the system after about the first $143,000 to round it off. And so consequently, those people aren't paying what a person making, let's say, $50,000 a year is as well. So we lift the cap, and that will allow us to both enhance the opportunity. People making over 400,000 will get benefits too, but that's how the system is worked, and this is what we need to do to help correct it.
On a lot of projects that were put forward by President Biden, there has been disagreement even among Democrats. Are they too big? The infrastructure bill, for instance. Have you been able to take the temperature of members on this bill? And is this one that we could see people? I know everyone gets nervous when they talk Social Security, but do you anticipate this will be a controversial proposal?
No, I anticipate we have already over 200 original co-sponsors of the bill. Now, that may not mean much to listeners, but as you know, it takes 218 votes to pass a bill. To be an original co-sponsor of a bill is pretty rare, and to have more than 200 original co-sponsors is pretty amazing. And I think once people are presented with the common facts and they see how it's going to be paid for and the benefits that are going to be derived, this will become very popular. It's why President Biden has called it a sacred trust. And it's long overdue for Congress to take action. That's the real crime here, Eric, is that the inaction of Congress for more than 50 years, this is not anything that can be done by executive order or through judicial decree. It actually takes a vote in Congress.
You're going to be making that announcement on Tuesday, and I'm sure we'll be following that as it moves its way through Congress. So, Congressman John Larson, thank you for being with us on this Sunday morning.
Great to be with you, Eric. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, we'll see you again. Coming up later in our program this morning, two brothers from Connecticut. They entered the armed forces because of the 9/11 attacks, but only one of them made it home from Afghanistan. We're talking with that surviving son, Scott DeLuzio, about his book. And up next, juvenile crime and the new plan state Republicans put out to combat it. Stay with us.